This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here. Thanks to our guy Matt Hopper making all sorts of new intros for us, making us look pretty damn good. There's no doubt about that. Welcome back, everybody. We got some breaking Minnesota Wild TV stuff I want to share before our show is done. But we teased it, so we want to get to it now because it's a pretty good conversation that we had with the head coach of New Mexico and Jason Eck, part of our coverage out at Mountain West Media Days. And obviously there is the strongest of connections that the Bison have to the Mountain West. One is with Jeff Choate, and you're going to hear from him in Nevada. That was the other coach I forgot, by the way. And the other is Eck. And Eck, obviously, is, unlike Choate, had success in Fargo as offensive coordinator at South Dakota State. He won up here in 2016, won up here in 2021, in a couple of the spring season of 2021, and obviously had some very big wins in Brookings as well as OC before launching his head coaching career, which took him from Idaho to now New Mexico. And we spent the gamut of our conversation talking on the rivalry with the Bison and now how NDSU fits into the new league in the Mountain West. Our Media Days coverage continues here from Las Vegas. Excited to have New Mexico head coach Jason Eck join us. For Bison fans back in Fargo, they know that name well, former South Dakota State offensive coordinator. It's great to see you. I was just joking with you off air when you had the press conference right after the NDSU got announced. I love what you said, that you thought you were done with the Fargo Dome. So did you twist some arms that the Bison were coming to Albuquerque this year?
I got a 1-year reprieve before that, because that's a tough place to play. And I think the crowd was always cranked up, too, for those Jackrabbit games. And, hopefully, coming to the Mountain West is going to just raise their excitement for all the games. I know I had heard that, they didn't sell out that game or they got upset this year. So hopefully now with some fresh teams coming in, that'll lift the excitement. But, I know what a great fan base that the Bison have, and I know what a great media following they have. I think this is a great match and a great fit for our league.
I got to go back to those games, Jason. I remember that 2016, both those games, the regular season game, obviously the Jake Winnick touchdown catch in the end zone, how monumental that was. Take me back your memories of those games and being such an integral part of them.
What a rivalry to be a part of. And when I first got there, the Jackrabbits were on a pretty long losing streak to the Bison. And really had to build the belief, because I think there was definitely some long faces and some people who maybe thought, hey, we can't beat these guys. And we were able to change that. And I think that, probably some of those lessons I learned there of how to build belief and get people thinking they could do something that maybe right now they don't think they could do, probably helped me at Idaho and at New Mexico, building some of that belief in our teams to get them going. And they were great games. I mean, that was right down the last play of the game, the 2016 game, and then they got after us pretty good in the playoffs. Then the next year, 2017,
awesome game there.
We got them at our place.
Yep.
They turned the ball over a bunch. Because they had Stick, but
Easton Stick's worst game, I think, as a Bison.
He had a bunch of turnovers, and we were able to get them. And I remember Goddard made a great catch against the real good outside linebacker transferred to LSU.
Jabril Cox.
Yeah,
yes.
He was a great player.
Fantastic.
A freak
Just
player.
think of those names, though.
No, a lot of
playing
pros
FCS football right there.
No. And then 18, they drilled us both times up there and in the playoffs. Wasn't even close. And then
19 was college game day.
19 was college game day.
Yeah, that was a heck of a day.
What atmosphere that was. And they got us. And then the last two times we played them in the spring season, we got them up in Fargo and then got them at our place the last year where we did the I'll always remember this one. We ran the play where we snapped it.
I was going to ask you about that.
We snapped it through the legs, and Pierre Strong was in the NFL, threw it to Tiger Kraft is in the NFL. And I remember coming down on the press box elevator, and Tyler Rolls, we didn't have TVs up there, and Tyler kind of goes to me at halftime. He goes, "Did you snap the ball through the legs of the quarterback?" I said, "Yeah, we did." So what games? What great games.
When did you know Mark Gronowski to say, this is the guy? He's going to be the dude?
Pretty soon right away. I mean, we liked him a lot in recruiting. He was really athletic and could run. And I thought guys like that help your O-line. So, and I've always thought, to beat really good teams, you need to have a quarterback who can extend plays and things. And then he really came in, and the fact that we played in the spring that year, gave him all that
Totally,
time.
yeah.
It was almost like he was an early enrollee, which is more common in FBS than FCS.
Yep.
But it allowed him to really win the team over, get to know everybody, and I started having like guys coming to my office, like even defensive players saying, "Hey, we're going to start Gronowski, right?" I was like, so, "Yeah, we'll see." And I was kind of thinking, "Yeah, you're right." But no, what a great player. Very proud of him, and I think I read that or saw that he's ironically him and Cam Miller with the same team right now, right?
The Dolphins.
How about that? But that was a kind of a neat rivalry, and credit to Cam, who came back at the end of his career and finally got him after Gronowski won some of the early battles.
I'm interested, Jason, to see the amount of FCS guys here, not unless yourself, but the amount of players that have, and it's the natural progression of things, obviously. The group of 6, they lose guys to the Power 4. Group of 6 is going to look to FCS guys. But the transition, you obviously made it yourself. What does that say about the level of football that's played at the FCS level that's able to now come up here and have great success?
Yeah, I think the top of the FCS, I think particularly the Big Sky Conference and the Missouri Valley Conference, there isn't a huge drop-off. And, and somebody asked me about that recently, and I said, hey, the best teams, and it really comes down to probably like 4 teams, the North Dakota State, South Dakota State, or the Montana schools.
Right, yeah.
I mean, those teams are right there, I think, with the best teams in the Mountain West. You look last year, Boise State was the champion. I bet Boise State would probably be a slight favorite at home against like an NDSU, but if they had to come to the Fargo Dome, it'd probably be a slight underdog.
Yeah.
So I just think the difference is, the drop off. Then everybody's probably the middle of the. It's the best teams in those conferences.
Yep.
You don't have the. Some of those teams that struggled, traditionally when Western Illinois was in the league, or Murray State or Indiana State. It's more of you're playing those best teams. It's playing, it'd be like playing the Jackrabbits and NDSU and Illinois State when they're having the best teams. And I know Northern Iowa's fallen off a little bit, but some of their best teams where they were really good, or when Youngstown went to the championship game in 16. It'd be like playing those 5 teams on a rotating basis when they're at the best. That's more like what this league's like.
Tell me about success last year. How gratifying that was. Come in. Brand new team. Obviously, your son is a huge part of it. How gratifying was 2025?
It was a lot of fun, both personally and just seeing kind of our fan base get reignited.
Yeah.
We led the nation in percentage attendance increase. We went the year before we got there. They averaged about 16,000 fans a game. We got up to 25,000. Had our first sellout since 2007. So just seeing the fan base come alive and rally around us was huge. And I really have always thought, like a lot of schools that are traditional basketball schools, and I think Indiana's a great example of that.
Yep.
As soon as you give them good football, they quickly they figure it out pretty quick, and people love football in America.
Totally.
And our fan base is always, and that was one of the things that gave me confidence. I knew we didn't have an apathetic fan base. We had a tremendous fan base for basketball historically. I said, hey, we give them some good football, they're going to fall in line and support us, and we got to keep going to try to make every game. We had 2 great crowds last year. Hopefully we can up that and have 4 or 5 great crowds this year.
Well, knowing the fact you've got some of the heavy hitters coming to your place this year, how big a deal is that with the schedule when you saw it?
That's huge. I mean, having North Dakota State and UNLV at home, I think, are huge, because those are 2 teams I think will be right in the thick of things. And the Hawaii trip will be tough. I think they're going to be in the thick of things. And the thing that's tricky now is there's probably somebody right now that we're not thinking about that's going to be in the thick of things. And we'll see how that evolves as the season goes on. But I kind of, tell our players that a lot. Just like no one thought we were going to be good, and we ended up being good. Yeah. It's easier to rebuild teams. So there's somebody right now who maybe is coming off of a year that didn't go to a bowl game that's going to go to a bowl game this year, and you can't relax and take any team lightly.
I got to ask. I was asking Jackson this yesterday, being small town guy as well, Wisconsin guy. What was it like walking into the big house last year for you? As a head football coach looking around playing at the University of Michigan.
It's I tell you what, that's an intimidating place. And I had been there a while ago, like when I was a player and graduate assistant at Wisconsin. But those were always like early afternoon games. I think there's something different to at night. You walk in there, and now all those stadiums now have the the light shows. You can turn the lights off and make it dark during timeouts, and it was intimidating. And I think early in that game we were a little rattled. I didn't do a great job of going into that game. I think having the team quite ready, and then we settled in. We were down 14-0, and we threw an interception off of a tip ball, and they had the ball at about the 20-yard line going in. and it was huge that our defense held them to a field goal to keep it 17-0. And then we really settled in, and we played them. We ended up losing 35-17, so we played them pretty even after that point. But it almost got away from us.
Yeah.
That was huge that we settled in, and then we're able to make it 17-14 before half.
So I have to ask, for Bison fans to certainly remember your social media game. Is your Twitter game still as good as it was 10 years ago when you were with the Jackrabbits?
Yeah, I still try to keep social media engagement engagement up and everything, and I'm probably older and wiser, so want to make sure I'm not providing as much bulletin board material for people. But I am still a pretty good follow on that. So
I followed you for 10 years, man. It's a must follow for me.
Yeah, so we'll give them some good content to get excited about. And I was telling some of the the print guys in there too.
Yeah.
I know that. Really, the South Dakota State and North Dakota State rivalry was kind of manufactured.
Totally,
it wasn't like something. So now we got to manufacture some new. I figured there's some oil in North Dakota and there's some oil in New Mexico. So maybe we need like a rusty oil can or something that we can come up with.
There we go. Traveling trophy. Let's do it.
We need
right?
something. So.
Would you surprised the feedback you got on that one tweet in that game? Was that hey, you know what? I'm going to put it out there and let's see what happens.
I can't even remember.
I know it's a decade ago. I know
which one it was, but I know. I know that little section, that small sideline. You have a lot of people yelling at you during the game. I know when you're on the sideline there.
Oh man, I have to ask here. For Bison fans who are going to make the trip to Albuquerque, what's the game day sense like for what to expect when to come out? Especially it's going to be a night game at New Mexico for that game.
Long time to tailgate. We got a good tailgate scene. They do a great job. There's a group of guys, the North End Zone Howlers. They start tailgating at 6 a.m. no matter when the game is.
Wow.
So it's a good tailgate scene. The weather will be a little nicer than Fargo for an October game. And, it'll be a beautiful day, good setting, and a lot of time to get lubed up pregame for a late kickoff, 8 o'clock kickoff.
Last thing, just describe for fans out there, NDSU is better than anybody, the transition for the Bison. What do you think there might be maybe some road bumps? What would you see potential road bumps going into the league?
I think they're going to do very well. I think they're going to come in and have success right away. I look at like James Madison, how they transitioned up, and I always thought those were similar type programs at the FCS level. So I think they're going to do well. I mean, I still think there'll be certain things like the I think the one thing that they have is they're good at the line of scrimmage, O-line and D-line, which is one of the traditional things you'd think going from an FCS program up, there's a change. I don't think that will be a factor for them. I think they will be amongst the best on the line of scrimmage right away. Maybe some of the skill.
Okay.
I think they're going to see a little bit more speed in the perimeter than they saw week to week in the Mountain West compared to the Missouri Valley. So that'll take a little time catching up, and that's, I think, always been, and we were the same way at South Dakota State. Sometimes you couldn't get those guys real close. You had to go, we got Pierre Strong out of, Arkansas, and I know some of those good backs that they've had have been Florida kids and things like that. So, that may be a little bit of that. And I think the travel will be a little, changed too, because, even you think of, the long flight in the valley going like North Dakota to Youngstown's a couple hours.
Correct.
It's a little different than going to Hawaii like we both do this year. So, that part of it I think will be a little, taxing and be an adjustment as well. And, it's unique because you have a lot of different, weather you have to play in this thing. You could play in.
Totally.
You could play in some games that are 100 degrees or some games at altitude. And you also could have a cold game if we play Wyoming in November this year on the road. So that could be a snow game. So a lot of different weathers you have to play in this league.
It's great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this. Good luck.
Thanks,
and we'll see you in October, okay?
I appreciate it.
Jason Eck joining us, head coach of the University of New Mexico. Bison and the Lobos coming up in mid-October. Good stuff there with the head football coach of the University of New Mexico. It was fun to go down memory lane, and the tweet that I'm referring to, Bison fans need no reminder of that, was after the 2016 playoff game, the Bison beat the Jackrabbits handily in the playoffs, and Chris Kleiman said, what a question we asked the post-game, what was mentality knowing the Jacks would wonder in the regular season, and Chris said, we were extremely motivated today. So the following week, when James Madison came up here and beat the Bison in the semifinals to end the 5-year title streak, Eck tweeted out, guess there wasn't enough motivation. And the Bison fans just lost their collective minds over it, and it just became part of that rivalry, which made it great. And Jason's exactly right. It was manufactured. It became a tremendous rivalry. Why not something maybe with NDSU, New Mexico, that can something as well. Good stuff there, and part of our continuing coverage that we had out in Vegas with the 10 head football coaches. Tomorrow, Troy Calhoun from the Air Force Academy. That one you won't want to miss on our show tomorrow. Let's break here. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday and talking season when Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra right after this.